The wind howled through the desolate streets of the small town, carrying with it the icy chill of December. The moon cast an eerie glow on the snow-covered landscape, creating an otherworldly atmosphere. Diego, a weary traveler seeking refuge from the biting cold, stumbled upon an old, creaky inn that seemed to beckon him from the shadows. The inn, though seemingly abandoned, emitted a faint light from its windows, giving Diego a glimmer of hope. As he entered, the wooden door creaked open, and the warmth of the fireplace greeted him. A mysterious innkeeper with a weathered face and piercing eyes approached him. "Welcome, stranger. We don't get many visitors in these parts during winter," the innkeeper said with a tone that sent shivers down Diego's spine. Diego, exhausted from his journey, nodded appreciatively and asked for a room for the night. The innkeeper handed him an old-fashioned key and directed him to the room at the end of the dimly lit corridor. The air in the inn seemed heavy with secrets, and Diego couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. In his room, Diego noticed peculiar paintings on the walls, depicting scenes of winter horror stories from the town's past. The tales seemed to speak of mysterious disappearances, strange shadows in the snow, and a lingering sense of unease that gripped the town during December nights. As the clock struck midnight, Diego was startled awake by an ominous sound outside his window. He cautiously approached, peering through the frost-covered glass. To his horror, he saw ghostly figures clad in tattered clothing, silently roaming the snow-covered streets. Unsettled, Diego decided to investigate, determined to unravel the mysteries that surrounded the town. Diego ventured out into the cold night, following the haunting figures through the winding streets. The town seemed to transform into a chilling labyrinth, the air thick with an unspoken sorrow. The ghostly figures led him to an ancient cemetery, where gravestones stood like silent sentinels in the moonlight. Among the tombstones, Diego discovered a weathered journal, its pages filled with cryptic writings and sketches of the same ghostly figures he had seen. It spoke of a curse that had befallen the town, a curse that awakened the spirits of those who had met tragic fates during bitter December nights. Driven by a growing sense of dread, Diego continued his quest to unravel the mystery. The journal hinted at a ritual that could break the curse, hidden within the heart of the town's chilling history. As he delved deeper, Diego uncovered a tragic love story, betrayal, and a dark secret that had bound the spirits to the town. The winter nights seemed to stretch endlessly as Diego pieced together the fragments of the curse. He realized that the key to breaking it lay in confronting the ghosts with the truth of their pasts. With each revelation, the town's icy grip on Diego tightened, and he found himself entangled in a web of darkness. As the first light of dawn broke, Diego stood in the center of the cemetery, facing the restless spirits. The truth revealed, the spirits dissipated into the morning mist, leaving the town in a haunting silence. Exhausted but triumphant, Diego returned to the inn, where the once mysterious innkeeper wore a knowing smile. "You've broken the curse, stranger," the innkeeper said, his eyes filled with gratitude. "The town can rest peacefully now, thanks to you." Diego, forever changed by the winter night's ordeal, left the town with a heavy heart. The December cold no longer held the same terror for him, but the memories of the winter horror stories would linger, a chilling reminder of the thin veil between the living and the dead. Leaving the town behind, Diego couldn't shake the lingering echoes of the winter horror stories. As he journeyed through the frost-covered landscape, the memories of the cursed town haunted his every step, yet there was a newfound strength within him, a sense of closure that only the breaking of the curse could bring. Weeks passed, and Diego found himself drawn to a small village on the outskirts of the winter wilderness. The air was crisp, and the snow-covered rooftops painted a serene picture. The villagers welcomed him warmly, unaware of the darkness that lurked in the tales of December nights. One evening, as Diego sat by the fireplace in the local inn, an old man approached him, eyes filled with curiosity. "You look like a man who's seen his share of mysteries," the old man remarked. Diego, still haunted by the memories of the cursed town, hesitated before deciding to share his harrowing experience. The old man listened intently, nodding knowingly at the mention of the ghostly figures and the ancient curse. "You've faced the winter horrors and emerged stronger," the old man said with a wise smile. "But remember, the line between reality and the supernatural is often blurred during December nights. Not all who wander into the cold find their way back." In the days that followed, Diego couldn't ignore the subtle signs that the village held its own secrets. Whispers of lost souls and unspoken tragedies echoed through the quiet streets. Compelled by an innate curiosity, Diego found himself entangled in another mystery, one that tested the limits of his newfound courage. As he uncovered the village's hidden past, Diego realized that the winter horrors were not confined to a single town. The curse that bound spirits to the cold nights was a thread woven into the fabric of many lives. With determination in his heart, Diego embarked on a journey to break the chains of despair that gripped the souls lost in the winter's embrace. Diego's travels took him to various towns and villages, each harboring its own winter horror stories. With courage as his guide, he faced the chilling tales head-on, revealing the truth that had long been buried beneath layers of icy silence. In breaking the curses, Diego became a beacon of hope for those trapped in the haunting grip of December nights. His journey was not without challenges, and the scars of each encounter marked him as a survivor of winter's darkest secrets. As the seasons changed and winter gave way to the warmth of spring, Diego carried the weight of countless stories on his shoulders. The towns he had visited now slept peacefully, liberated from the shadows that had tormented them. December had cast its icy grip on the town, and the park, usually teeming with life, now stood eerily quiet under the pale light of the waning moon. Kenny, a young man with an adventurous spirit, wrapped his scarf tighter around his neck, trying to shield himself from the biting cold. He never anticipated that his evening walk would turn into a nightmare. Unbeknownst to him, hidden among the shadows, a malevolent force watched his every move. As he ventured deeper into the park, a sense of unease settled over Kenny. The once familiar surroundings now seemed unfamiliar and foreboding. The lampposts cast long, distorted shadows that danced with an otherworldly rhythm. Kenny quickened his pace, the crunch of frozen leaves now matching the rhythm of his racing heart. Unknown to him, a figure clad in darkness trailed behind, skillfully blending with the night. A chilling whisper of the wind seemed to carry ominous words, warning Kenny of the impending danger that lurked just out of sight. Unbeknownst to him, the maniacal pursuer reveled in the anticipation of the impending horror. Kenny's breath escaped in visible puffs as he approached a clearing, the skeletal branches overhead casting grotesque patterns on the icy ground. An unsettling sensation crept up his spine, a feeling that he was no longer alone. He glanced over his shoulder, catching only a fleeting glimpse of shadows that seemed to melt into the darkness. Attempting to shake off the irrational fear that gripped him, Kenny continued his journey, his footsteps echoing louder in the silence. The sinister presence, however, persisted, growing bolder with each passing moment. As Kenny reached a secluded bridge, the moonlight revealed a figure standing in his path. A masked face emerged from the shadows, eyes gleaming with malevolence. Panic seized Kenny as he tried to backtrack, but the figure closed in, leaving him no escape. The maniac's laughter echoed through the frozen air, sending shivers down Kenny's spine. A game of cat and mouse had unfolded, with the park serving as the haunting stage. Kenny's desperate attempts to evade his pursuer proved futile, the icy grip of fear tightening with every passing second. If you'd like the story to continue or have specific twists in mind, feel free to guide the narrative, and we can unfold the chilling tale together. Kenny's heart raced as he stumbled backward, his eyes locked on the masked figure closing in. The malevolent laughter echoed in the crisp night air, resonating with a haunting melody. Panic fueled Kenny's instincts, and he darted towards a thicket of trees, hoping the shadows would provide a momentary refuge. The maniac pursued relentlessly, his steps echoing like a macabre drumbeat. Kenny's breath hitched as he wove through the labyrinth of branches, the icy air biting at his exposed skin. Desperation clawed at him, urging him to find an escape route from this real-life nightmare. As Kenny burst into a small clearing, he spotted an abandoned structure, its dilapidated walls barely standing against the wintry gusts. With a surge of adrenaline, he dashed inside, hoping the structure would shield him from the clutches of his relentless pursuer. The masked figure, undeterred, followed Kenny into the decaying building. The air within was thick with an ancient mustiness, and the dim light filtering through the broken windows cast eerie shapes on the crumbling walls. Kenny pressed himself against the cold stone, his breaths rapid and shallow. The malevolent figure stepped into the dim light, revealing a twisted smile beneath the mask. A cruel game of hide-and-seek had unfolded, and Kenny found himself at the mercy of a predator with no apparent motive. The masked man spoke in a chilling whisper, his voice dripping with sadistic delight. "You can't escape, Kenny. This is your final act." Fear clenched Kenny's chest as the masked man closed in, the shadows conspiring to amplify the horror of the moment. Kenny's mind raced, searching for any means of escape from the clutches of this relentless pursuer. He noticed a narrow staircase leading down to a basement, a last-ditch effort at salvation. Without a second thought, Kenny descended into the icy darkness, his footsteps muffled by the frigid silence. The basement held a macabre history of its own, its cold, damp air clinging to the desperate whispers of past encounters. As Kenny navigated the dim labyrinth, he stumbled upon a forgotten tunnel leading further into the unknown. The maniac, undeterred, pursued Kenny into the depths. The tunnel seemed to stretch endlessly, its walls closing in with an oppressive weight. Kenny's breath formed misty clouds as he pressed on, his senses heightened by the anticipation of a sinister confrontation. In the chilling darkness, Kenny glimpsed a glimmer of moonlight ahead. The tunnel opened into an abandoned cavern, the cold air carrying an echo of distant screams. Kenny, driven by instinct, stumbled out into the open, only to find himself standing on the edge of a frozen lake. The masked man emerged from the tunnel, the malevolence in his eyes undiminished. The frozen expanse of the lake stretched before them, a desolate stage for the final act of this harrowing encounter. The maniac's voice echoed, revealing a cryptic truth. "You cannot escape fate, Kenny. Embrace the cold embrace." As the masked man lunged forward, Kenny's survival instincts kicked in. The frozen lake became a treacherous battleground, each step a gamble on cracking ice. In a chilling dance, they clashed on the frozen stage, the echoes of their struggle reverberating through the wintry night. Kenny, battered and freezing, staggered towards the edge of the frozen lake. The ordeal had left its mark, both physically and mentally. The mask of the maniac, now a distant specter in the darkness, served as a chilling reminder of the night's horrors. The town, unaware of the sinister drama that unfolded in the heart of the frozen park, slept in blissful ignorance. Kenny, his breath visible in the cold night air, limped away from the lake, haunted by the echoes of his chilling encounter. The scars of that winter night would linger, etched into the fabric of his memory. As dawn approached, casting a feeble light over the frost-covered landscape, Kenny found himself at the edge of the park. The first rays of sunlight broke through the skeletal branches, dispelling the lingering shadows. The nightmare was over, but the cold embrace of that winter night would forever linger in Kenny's soul. He glanced back at the desolate park, the frozen lake now a tranquil surface beneath the morning sun. The masked man, a phantom of malevolence, had vanished into the depths of the night. Kenny, a survivor of the winter horror story, embraced the dawn with a newfound appreciation for the warmth that defied the icy grip of fate.